Hey everyone, so today let's try to tackle one of the most commonly asked burning questions in the fitness industry. How much protein should I consume, and if I consume 4 scoops of whey protein, or let's say I am overdosing myself with larger chunks of chicken breasts, is that helping me? Is that harming me? Is there any downside to it? Is there any positive side to it? So I have taken 2 research papers as references. To clarify, this video is not for discussing the medical side effects of taking too much protein, although we might cover up that aspect too, because in the research paper they have touched up on that part. But most of the disease they talk about, they're talking in terms of correlation, in terms of high protein intakes. What we would focus on in this video is regarding the question that in any way is it beneficial for you to consume a very high caloric surplus in terms of protein, just via protein. That's like, for in this research paper they have used 4.4 grams per kg per day. So is there any benefit from that? And are you, like, let's say if you're someone who's a working professional, or like let's say you're living in a hostel and you plan to go on such a high protein diet and you're using whey protein for it, is it worth the money? Spending lots of money to get such a high protein diet. So obviously it's very important to, whenever you're trying to relate to research work, it's very important to figure that whatever the subjects of the research were, is there any similarity with you or not? So from what I see in this research is that they have taken individuals of the range close to individuals falling in the range of 20 to 30 years, of normal height 5'10", and close to 6 feet 5'7", and weight is close to 73.3 plus minus 11.5. So what comparison they have drawn is that the subjects were randomly assigned to one of the following groups: control or high protein, and they were instructed to maintain the same training and dietary habits over the course of the 8-week study. And the high protein group was instructed to consume 4.4 grams of protein per kg body weight daily. Now, if you are someone who has been traditionally following a lot of YouTube channels or maybe research papers also, you might have seen a generic expression of a generic what I'd say, people saying that it's okay to take close to 1.1 gram or 1.2 gram of protein per kg of body weight, and that is what you will find in a lot of online resources. But in this research, just to make sure that they are keeping the one of the group at a very high concentration of protein diet, they have kept it to something close to 4.4 grams of protein per kg body weight daily. Body composition, training volume, and food intake were determined at baseline and over the 8-week treatment period. So if you look at the results, obviously I'll link up this and the other article that I'm going to talk about. The other article is also about the same thing, closely about the same thing: metabolic consequences of high dietary protein intake in adulthood, assessment of available evidence. So just to show you the conclusion, now this article is something where they have talked about the other factors also, like correlation with your other factors of your body, like the morphological changes, urinary nitrogen excretion, and bunch of other stuff. And they have also claimed that in addition to that, there is an increased risk of renal cancer, which is being linked to high protein intake. But since we're talking about, in this video we are trying to focus mostly about the fact that what effect does it have on your strength building and your training capacities. So it's not evident that high protein intakes confer any advantage in terms of strength or health. Moreover, high protein intakes must be considered in relationship to the possible untoward consequences mentioned. And the same thing we will find in this article, and I'll try to show you the results and where they have talked about the fact that the key finding is the present study is that consuming a hypercaloric high protein diet has no effect on body composition in resistance trained individuals. This is the first investigation on resistance trained individuals to demonstrate that consuming a high protein hypercaloric diet does not result in a gain in fat mass. So I think this is one of the instances where you realize that there's a conception out there that excess protein can also turn into fat. I've heard this on a few of the online resources, but you need to take it like as a new information, or let's say something that you've not heard before, is that certainly this dispels the notion that a calorie is not just a calorie, right? That is, protein, excess calories, excess of requirements are not metabolized by the body in a manner similar to carbohydrate. Now, this is a very strong statement, right? It comes to the fact that when you might have heard people talking about just count the calories. You don't need to worry about it. If you want to lose, just count the calories. If you want to gain, just eat more, eat in the surplus. Now, similarly, another take that we can conclude is that if you're taking this high amount of protein via some sort of whey protein, or let's say some fancy expensive resources, you're just wasting it. You're being optimistic. And I think the first thing that someone who is beginning his journey in fitness should focus on is that try to do the basic exercises, be competent in that. Definitely you need to bring up your protein intake, but it's not that you need to eat something like 4 scoops of whey protein every day. It's just, you're just wasting that resource. Although, as you can see in the other article that I mentioned, there are a few risks correlated with high intake of protein, but I think if you're talking solely from strength and training perspective, I think a fair amount of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, even on the higher side, 1.5 gram of protein per kg per day of your body mass, I think that's enough. The results may be different depending on what training program you are following, but 1.5, it's no way, there's no sense of taking it to 4.4 or anywhere close to 4, right? Thank you.